Friends, this is the story of two girls who were repeatedly assaulted by some men. But they didn't give up, they fought back and took revenge on each of them, one by one. The story begins with two girls, Katy and Nancy, who are agriculture students. They're excited as they're about to leave for a farm in New York for their studies. They're thrilled because they'll also get a chance to travel around Europe and do lots of shopping. The next morning, their uncle Jason, an FBI agent, arrives to pick them up. At Jason's house, they meet his girlfriend, who is very happy to see them. After arriving in the city, Katy and Nancy decide to take on new names. Katy becomes Heather and Nancy becomes Ripley. The next day, Jason takes them to the bus stop for their journey to the agriculture farm. Before they part ways, Jason tells them to message him once they reach safely and to use a code word for safety. Katy says she'll use Apple, but Jason advises her to use a different alphabet/code each time to avoid detection. As they wait for the bus, two boys named Jed and Lucas spot them. After Jason leaves, Katy and Nancy head to a cafe, where the same two boys approach them again. During the conversation, the girls introduce themselves by their new names and mention they're heading to the farm. The boys claim they're going there too and offer them a ride. Initially, Katy refuses, but Nancy convinces her to go with them. However, instead of taking them to the farm, Jed and Lucas take them to their house located near a forest. Katy and Nancy get worried and ask to be taken to the farm immediately. Just then, Jed and Lucas' mother shows up and warmly invites them in for tea, saying the boys will drop them off afterward. As they drink the tea, Katy receives a message from Jason, and she replies with the code word Apple, making Jason believe they've reached safely. But the food they were served was drugged. Soon, both girls feel dizzy and try to escape, but they faint and are dragged back inside. The next day, they wake up in the middle of the forest, tied up with iron chains. Jed tells them there's no point screaming because no one will hear them in such a remote place. Later, a man named Boris arrives and shows Katy her phone, asking about the message from someone named JSN. Katy explains that Apple was the code meaning they were safe. Boris, pretending to be her, replies to Jason using the same code word. Then they're forced to bathe in front of the men. A cop named Sharif appears, and the girls beg for help, but are shocked to realize he's also part of this horrific setup. The cop takes Viagra and rapes Katy. Later, a drug addict burns her stomach with a lit cigarette and also assaults her. They're now being trafficked by these inhumane men. Meanwhile, Jason starts getting suspicious because the code Apple was reused. When he calls the farm, he finds out Katy and Nancy never arrived. He realizes they're in serious danger and sets out to find them. Back in the forest, a man in a pig mask assaults Nancy, worsening her condition. The girls are now subjected to unimaginable cruelty. Jason visits the same restaurant where the girls met Jed and Lucas and speaks with someone who gives him a lead about Boris's vehicle. The girls discover they are going to be killed soon. When left alone with the drug addict, Katy seduces him, then suddenly bites his throat, killing him. They free themselves, escape, and steal a vehicle. They go to a mall, buy various weapons and supplies, like hammers, nails, tennis balls, and get Boris's address from a local. At Boris's house, they knock him out using a nail-filled tennis ball, tie him up, and interrogate him about the pig-masked man. Boris gives the address. Before leaving, they brutally torture and kill Boris. Jason, meanwhile, finds Boris's company address and rushes to the house, but the girls have already left by then. The girls reach a church where they discover the pig-masked man is actually the priest. Nancy approaches him with a baseball bat, and when he recognizes her, Katy attacks him from behind. They drag him behind their car, douse him in petrol, and burn him alive in public. Jason, now captured by the corrupt police officer, is held at gunpoint. Meanwhile, the same cop tries to abuse more kidnapped girls, but Katy and Nancy return, knock him out with tennis balls, and tie him to a chair. They play Russian roulette with him using a gun with a single bullet. After several empty shots, the man smirks thinking he survived, but then they finally shoot and kill him. They free the kidnapped girls, tell them to release Jason, and leave. Jason learns from the girls that it was Katy and Nancy who saved them. Later, Jed and Lucas' mom is seen drinking when she suddenly passes out, drugged just like she did to the girls. She wakes up tied to a chair, facing Jed, who's also tied up. The girls appear and tell her she's about to suffer the same fate. They kick the chair, and Jed nearly hangs. They brutally beat Jed to death while the mother watches helplessly. Lucas then appears, and when his mom thinks he's part of the group, he denies everything. The girls offer him a choice: kill your mom or die. He refuses, so Nancy shoots him, then plants the gun in his hand to frame him for the murders. They finally use a grass-cutting machine to gruesomely kill Lucas' mom. In the final scene, Jason arrives at his sister's house, where Katy and Nancy are safe, preparing to leave for New York. Their mom is worried, but Jason reassures her that the girls have grown strong and can take care of themselves. And that's how the movie ends.